Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Well, we've known that anything in any association whatsoever with Sweet Baby Inc. has been nothing more than toxic for a lot of these companies out there. We've seen time and time again these games get downvoted over and over again because any kind of sniff of Sweet Baby Inc. around them. Why? Because we've seen what Sweet Baby Inc. involved games have had happen. Most recent one was Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. We saw how much of a disastrous dumpster fire that was. There's rumors out there about Concord connections and all kinds of other stuff. And of course, Assassin's Creed Shadows had a lot of involvement with Ubisoft. And of course, while the game developer out there, this individual person out there, is denying any kind of any association with Assassin's Creed Shadows, I think we probably all know better than that. Now it looks like not only is it toxic for any video game development studio out there, but it is also causing very much damage to their future potential career options, because the companies are now asking them, are we going to have problems if we hire you because you have Sweet Baby Inc. associations, affiliations, and you're one of their former employees? So yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are winning, and even the video game industry itself recognizes that Sweet Baby Inc. is nothing more than a big albatross around their neck, and it turns into nothing more than a disastrous dumpster fire, and will put them in a bad sway right from the very beginning. So congratulations, Sweet Baby Inc. You indeed did make a huge change in the industry, and it was to guarantee that anybody involved with your organization will never get a job in video games ever again. And that is a beautiful thing to hear about, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to check out this article from thatparkplace.com, getting all of the juicy details. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, because boys and girls, we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below letting us to surprise you in any way, shape, or form that this Sweet Baby Inc. employee actually admits to the fact that their association with the company prevents them from getting jobs in the future. Or do you actually think this is one of those just beautiful things to see, that this is exactly what they deserve? Let us know what you think about all that in the comments section down below. So former Sweet Baby Inc. employee implies developers did not want to hire him after working for Kim Ballar's company. Oh, color us shocked there. That's why, once again, reputations do indeed matter. And no, not all news is good news, ladies and gentlemen. A former Sweet Baby Inc. employee, Kazuma Hashimoto, revealed that the developers did not want to hire him because he worked for the video game consultancy company. Color us shocked there. Hashimoto was recently featured in an article written by Zachary Small at the New York Times, where he claimed that Japanese people were not upset about Assassin's Creed Shadows, and claimed that much of the pushback against the game and one of its main characters, Yusuke, was being done by Western using translations. And we've already exposed this. We already did a whole 4 video breakdown on all of that kind of stuff. And literally, it's one of them situations where he's just like, oh, no, that's what they're saying. Well, it turns out even he admits this is not necessarily true. In a recent Twitch stream discovered by YouTuber Smash JT, he actually tries to justify all of the backlash they got from Japan while trying to admit that, well, the Japanese weren't actually all that upset in a puff piece for the New York Times trying to promote the game. How'd that work out? Yeah, not so much. And shout out this YouTuber Smash JT. Go check out his stuff if you haven't already. Hashimoto provided more details about the New York Times, saying, a couple of months ago, the New York Times actually got in touch with me and to ask me about Assassin's Creed. In which I was like, oh, and don't get me started on the likes. It's going to get real annoying real quick. Like, yeah, reception's honestly like kind of positive, with a lot of the comments you'd see under videos were like straight up Google translation comments, which is pretty obvious. Yeah, explain to us the ratios on your trailers out there. Oh, that's right. It's just review bombing. Can't wait to see the sales of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Do you think it's going to be better or worse than Star Wars Outlaws? Either way, I'm excited to see this disastrous dumpster fire come out. However, he then noted how annoyed the Japanese people are with certain aspects of the game. Oh, yes, absolutely. And like I said, he admits to it. And like people are like annoyed with some of the inconsistencies and issues with Shadows, which is like the buildings and stuff being wrong, or certain clothing and whatnot, right? Or the fact that the art team basically stole a sign from a reenactment troupe in Japan. And that's actually pretty common, because when you're working with such a large team of artists, sometimes they're sort of given the direction to Google things, and people make mistakes, which I agree. But that just shows you how low the quality assurance was for this game, that they did not double check this, and they did not go out there and find out about this before they ended up getting in trouble with, well, basically the entire country of Japan. But hey, that's okay, because agenda-driven narrative is all that matters, and they will sacrifice everything, including their own integrity, to go ahead and push that kind of nonsense, which is exactly what Assassin's Creed Shadows is trying to do. which is like the buildings and stuff being wrong or certain clothing and whatnot, right? Or the fact that the art team basically stole a sign from the enactment trip in Japan. And that's actually like pretty common because when you're looking for such a large team of artists, well, sometimes you're sort of given the direction to Google things. It's more like you're working with a team of people that speak multiple different languages, and whether or not they can communicate with each other is an issue. And that just becomes part of the game development. Oh, so it's perfectly okay for you to screw up things because you want to be lazy and because your boss has told you to just Google it. So that gives you an excuse to be a lazy POS. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Later in the stream, Hashimoto claimed he did not work on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Does any of us actually believe this? No. I can say that I didn't do any consultant work on Assassin's Creed Shadows. That stuff I did with Sweet Baby, I'll probably never be able to talk about just because the way development works. So yeah, it's really, really weird. While you worked at Sweet Baby Inc. for 3 years, where your own LinkedIn page claimed you were specifically working with Ubisoft, so it was either this or Star Wars Outlaws. Which one was it? Because those are the only two major releases that have come out or that are planning on coming out since during your time period that were in development over there at Ubisoft. So, methinks if you weren't involved in Assassin's Creed Shadows, you were definitely involved in and Star Wars Outlaws, and while we see how that's worked. But this is where things get interesting, boys and girls. I have a feeling that I'm going to get blamed for changes and decisions made on this. And absolutely, why not? Why not? Because when you're a consultant, they just kind of pull you in and ask you for suggestions, and whether or not those suggestions are actually taken up is up to the director. It's up to the director. People don't understand how much power a director and producer have in a studio and whether or not they will facilitate those changes. And absolutely, I agree. This falls just as much on the producer and the director who listen to your psychopathic asses out there trying to push an agenda and believing you that this is going to be the next hot thing. You guys were the snake oil salesmen. So yeah, congratulations on convincing producers and directors that this was going to be the next hot thing. Still later in the stream, Hashimoto revealed that developers did not want to hire him, given he was a former Sweet Baby Inc. employee. And why would they? Everybody's seen the year of 2024 where woke goes to die and the disastrous dumpster fire that anything that even has the sniffing of being involved with Sweet Baby Inc. turns into nothing but an absolute abysmal financial failure. Of course, they don't want you involved in any of their projects with that kind of albatross hanging around, with that kind of stain, with that kind of reputation. And guess what? It's a reputation you all have completely and totally earned, no matter how much you try to deny it out there. He said, there are definitely jobs that I've been told where, people have seen, the fact that I worked for Sweet Baby. And it's been a year since I worked with them, and it's just like a contractual basis when I was just periodically, for a couple of years. Well, it looked like based on your LinkedIn that you were there for 3 years. And yeah, you were consulting, but you were an employee. And we know what the people inside of Sweet Baby Inc. believe because they sure as hell wouldn't hire anybody like us who disagree with their agenda-driven nonsense. So, yeah, you're totally one of the cultists. For real. People will literally be like, hey, are we going to get harassed for hiring you? Well, no, you're going to get called out for it because it's a red flag that automatically makes all of us assume, because guess what? We've studied history and history doesn't repeat itself. It also rhymes. So yeah, you're going to get a bunch of backlash having a former Sweet Baby Inc. employee because we know the kind of agenda nonsense. We know the kind of spirit of age stuff they try to interject in every single one of the properties that they work on. We've seen this happen time and time again. By the way, how's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League going again? Oh, that's right. Warner Brothers called it one of the biggest financial flops and failures that they'd ever had. Wonder what happened with that one. People were literally like, hey, are we going to get harassed for hiring you? And I think that really sucks. That instead of we'll protect our employees, the employer or the potential person giving you the contract will be more concerned about them than protecting their employees. Kind of fucked up. No, what's kind of fucked up is the fact that you have intentionally tried to push an agenda and your own personal political views and your own worldview into a bunch of something that is supposed to be nothing more than escapism, that is supposed to be free from agenda, that is supposed to be free from political bias. It's supposed to be something that people can turn off the rest of the world, go in there and immerse themselves in a wonderful world. And you have taken that away from people. So yes, you are going to get backlash. You are going to get anger for that kind of things. And guess what? It's exactly what you deserve. I think annoying is a very good word for it because it largely doesn't materially affect our work. The vast majority of these companies already know what's going on and they still hire us. They know that we actually do and necessarily change based on survival. But that doesn't change our comfort level in which we can exist on online spaces. Oh, really? Oh, really? And so to that end, it ends up being very kind of like challenging, but it's like, it's just a distraction. It's a distraction. It feels very much like it's a time wasting thing. It's a demoralizing thing, but it doesn't affect your day to day. What like it's noise outside. Well, clearly it affects your day to day. Clearly, everybody knows the kind of tank, the kind of stain that Sweet Baby Inc. brings with it. Why? Because it's a reputation that has been well deserved. Sweet Baby Inc. is very obviously pushing an agenda and has consulted these companies to go in directions that the employees, the fans, and the customers, and most of all the gamers out there did not want or have any desire to be involved with. All we wanted was good quality games that have good quality escapism. It doesn't matter if we have to talk about Saints Row, it doesn't matter if we talk about Star Wars Outlaws or Justice League or Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. Every single one of these things has failed time and time again. And what do they all have in common? Sweet Baby Inc. If that ends up being the only consistent thing across the entire board that has led to all of these companies being disastrous dumpster fires, well, guess what? It's the reputation you deserve, because Sweet Baby Inc. and all of the rest of their employees and their sycophants for the cult out there decided to prioritize agenda-driven nonsense, historical revisionism, and just absolute disrespect to anybody out there who just wants a good quality game, and then, of course, goes out there and calls us all kinds of horrible names out there. Well, yes, you do deserve your reputation. And I'm glad to hear that the video game industry out there understands and recognizes that absolute reputation, and that it is a disastrous dumpster fire for any company out there who comes even close to Sweet Baby Inc. So guess what? You get exactly what you deserve. Enjoy the unemployment line, because it doesn't look like anybody's going to be hiring anybody going forward that has anything to do with the Sweet Baby Inc. And guess what? You did it to yourselves.